You've bought the highlighters and the planners, but your brain is still running on a high school operating system that's about to crash. This is the illusion of readiness, and this is why honor students can often struggle or even fail their first semester in college. Today, we're going to be dismantling the passive habits that you don't even know you have so you can survive the shift to total independence. We spend weeks picking out the perfect decor for the dorm because it's a problem we can solve with our credit card. We overinvest in supplies. That's productive procrastination. But you can't buy the ability to sit in the library for 4 hours without a teacher telling you what page to open in your textbook. You spend time organizing your books and setting up your desk just perfectly so you're all ready for class. That's not a bad thing. This can be your checklist paradox. The more prepared your desk looks, the less prepared your mind might actually be. These physical tools are hardware, but we need to talk about the software. Even if you have the best mental habits, there's one specific high school success trait that can actually become a liability in college. So we'll talk about that in this next section. When you're in high school, the structural scaffolding like due dates, daily reminders, parental check-ins, those do the heavy lifting for you. All of a sudden, when you get to college, you don't have any of that structure. None of the scaffolding, and there you are, hanging off the building all by yourself, unsure of the next safe step. So in high school, being a good student usually means being excellent at following instructions. The teacher says, read pages 50 to 70 and answer the questions at the end of the chapter. You do exactly that, you get the A. You're rewarded for being reactive. Sometimes this is called the good student syndrome. In a university setting, the instructions can be minimal or non-existent, particularly between major exams. So if you wait for a prompt to study, or a reminder about a deadline, or a specific rubric for every concept, you're going to fall into a productivity void. And it's particularly easy to do in a semester system. You have 15 weeks, and often the very first reality check or exam isn't until like week 7 or 8. So if you're not prepared and ready to hit the ground running, you have many weeks of just spinning your wheels. Honor students can crash not just because the work is harder, that's not really necessarily the case, but because they've never had to build their own schedule. I had this problem myself. In high school, I was only vaguely aware of the academic process. I knew I had to go to school during the day. I went to school, I sat in class, I kind of paid attention. I did the assignments and aced all the tests just because I showed up when I was supposed to and did the work that was assigned. I was able to get good grades by doing that, but it didn't help me to develop a real understanding of the academic process. And when I got to school and had all kinds of freedom, kind of got lost a little bit. The biggest shock is not really the workload, it's the empty space between classes. If you've never had to manage 6 hour gap of total freedom, I've put together a free time management guide to help you build that infrastructure for success. And I've put the link for it down in the description. In college, I learned that studying was actually an essential component for academic success, and I really learned what studying was. It's not just sitting there with your notes in front of you while you paint your nails or talk to your friends. I also learned a lot of other just life lessons. If I eat a bunch of junk food and stay up all night, I really don't feel well. If you never vacuum the floor, it becomes covered with debris faster than you can possibly imagine. And the laundry fairy never visited my clothes basket with the frequency that I would have preferred. So all of these were tough lessons I was learning at the same time that I was learning how to study and be a serious student. So the defining factors of success change from high school to college. High school version, success equals obedience and effort. The college situation, and indeed in reality, success equals initiative and critical prioritization, and of course, effort. So to build success in college, we have to move from passive consumption to active construction. I'm talking here about your course information. The professor is probably not going to talk about every single concept that is in the chapter, but you're still going to be responsible for that. You need to learn how to pick out the important concepts in your notes and in your textbooks. Nice thing is that a lot of the textbooks have subheadings in bold, so that helps you. It's a good idea if you can kind of preview the lecture by looking through the text material, at least skimming it, before you go to lecture, and that way when you're hearing it, it's not the first time. Most textbooks have an important concept outline at the beginning of the chapter, and many have summaries at the end, or often even questions at the end of the chapter. In college, you're expected not just to repeat facts, but to demonstrate understanding and to connect things together and explain how it works. In auditing your progress of work, you need to move to an evidence-based audit. Don't just ask if you studied, ask what you produced. So if you didn't create some kind of a summary, concept map, or a practice test, chances are you just spent your time looking at the paper, whether it was your notes or your textbook. So you have to be thinking, okay, so what is the relevance? Why do I care? What does this mean? If you're realizing that your high school operating system is outdated and you want a step-by-step system to rebuild it, my student success class goes deep into the specific cognitive habits that elite college students use. And I've also integrated a lot of mindfulness practices and self-care to make it that much better. You can find the link to join us below. Remember to like and subscribe, and you can also add in the comments any future topics that you would like to see. I will see you next time.